And we're live, folks, back again to discuss The Dark Tower, the final book in Stephen King's The Dark Tower series. And, yeah, I know. And today we are going to focus on the first half of the book, so essentially chapters 1 through 12. And there's a lot to talk. Joining us today in the main room, you just have two of us. Your host, JP, a.k.a. The Demon, and...
Yeah, Ben the Hitman.
Ben the Hitman. All right. And then...
We've got Brett the Director, who was on a shore, a nice beach somewhere, and came across a door and ended up here, wherever I am.
Well, Brett, we're in fabulous, sunny New York City, and there's a brand new barbecue joint in town that I'm really excited to go to. It's called the Dixie Pig, and I heard that they have an amazing white meat special.
Ooh.
Let's check it out.
Let's
just hope it doesn't have dog. That's the only meat I won't eat.
They, I heard that the best thing on their menu was the Callahan special.
Oh, no.
I was wondering it was some kind of Irish fare, like maybe fried fish and chips or something
It was
like
best
that.
bloody.
Yeah.
They also have cream of some young eye.
Uh-oh. So, all right. We want to get talking about this here. So I think as we're talking about the Callahan special, we might as well start with the beginning of the book, where we get caught up on essentially the suicide run that Jake and Callahan are about to make upon that very Dixie Pig that we hope Andrew eats at later.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'll just come right out of the gate and say the intro to this book rocks.
Yes.
You have a lot of simultaneous, really gripping stuff going on. You have the entry into the Dixie Pig by Callahan and Jake, which has been really ramped up at the end of Song of Susanna, so you know this is going to be a final showdown scenario for somebody. And then while all that's going on, you have the birth of Mordred with Mia and Susanna going on in a different space at the same time.
Yep.
So there's a lot of awesome flipping back and forth between those two scenes. And this book definitely starts off with an awesome bang.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's like totally absorbs you right away. So the birth thing is creepy. And then, we don't actually get Eddie and Roland, right? If I remember correctly, we don't actually get them right away because they left off in the previous book actually going through the portal. Is that right?
Right.
I think they go through
so.
the
Yeah, that sounds
portal.
right.
I might be mixing. It's really hard because I'm like mixing up the end of the Song of Susanna and the beginning of this book. But I think that they had already gone through the portal on Turtleback Lane, 1977, Maine. And we just don't hear them until they appear where they're kind of coming. Right. So we get Jake, trying to survive and decapitating people with his Ryza. And you get Susanna. What do you think of the doctor? They drag Susanna through the Dixie Pig. They drag her into the back room. They strap her into these kind of like brain-sucking, world-dividing areas, and they separate Mia and Susanna physically, or kind of physically. And then she gives birth to a beautiful baby boy.
With a fully erect penis.
With a fully erect penis.
Yeah.
And I think the first
Andrew's
feeding...
like, that's the only part I remember.
Yes. And then his first feeding session goes pretty awful for Mia.
Oh dear, it doesn't work out for Mia.
Yeah.
Basically, Mordred starts off in a very gentle breastfeed, and then it quickly escalates into sucking out all of her inner fluids. So, she's basically just turns into an empty leather bag at the end of Mordred's feeding.
It's the perfect metaphor for motherhood.
Oh, God.
Give birth to this thing you love, and it just slowly drains you of all your life.
Sucks you dry.
I gotta say, it is creepy when I imagine that transformation scene as cute little baby boy Mordred turns into a gigantic spider
Right.
with a human face on its
if
butt.
And while this is going on, Susanna is strapped down onto like a medical bed next
Right.
to her.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, this thing could jump over and get me. And I kept thinking of John Carpenter's movie, The Thing, where they're where Kurt Russell is testing everyone. And they're all strapped into the chairs like, oh my God, one of us is infected. And they start, the alien starts going after people while they're tied up. It's like, oh my God, that's terrible.
That's exactly an image that comes to my mind. It's just, yowza.
Yeah.
And then Susanna actually does really well, though, as Mordred's obviously preoccupied sucking Mia dry, and also some of the guards, I think, too. Or is it Susanna that kills the first guards immediately?
No, Susanna kills the guards first.
And then she even shoots a leg off Mordred, which is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So
there's a hilarious a little small character who comes into this scene, Nigel the Robot.
Yeah, Nigel. Exactly.
You guys remember him?
Yep.
Yeah. He comes in and he's kind of like a C-3PO type robot. Yeah. Like his only job is to hold the incubator for little Mordred. And Susanna totally uses that as a distraction for everyone. Yeah. And then she even shoots out his eyes just to because he keeps wailing like, what's going on? So she shoots out his eyes and he's like, Vision Zero, just like Andy.
Yeah. I honestly kind of felt bad for him.
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah. You shot out my vision.
Yep.
Anyway, go ahead, Hitman.
Just because she just didn't know, it's like, well, maybe he's bad.
Right.
Pop.
Well, it's a good assumption because Andy was terrible, and why would the robot be totally with them?
Andy, the captain's alter ego robot.
So she's being racist.
a technophobe. I think even a little bit later with Nigel, because Nigel is carrying her around after she escapes this room and kills all of the, most of the guards. Some of them run away. Baby Mordred scuttles away after she blasts off one of the legs. And Nigel's even carrying her around the Dogan. And Nigel's like, I really wish that I had my eyes so I could see. And Susanna says something along the lines of like, oh, don't worry, honey sugar, we'll get you an upgrade back at the repair bay or something. And in her head, she's like, I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds nice.
Yeah. It's funny because he wasn't even impaired at all. He's like, I can't use my eyes. I gotta use my infrared eyes now.
Yes, exactly. He could still see.
Yeah.
He just likes
and his
seeing
excuse
color.
for not wanting to do that is like, it's just kind of annoying.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't like it as much.
Yeah. It's not 4K.
Yeah.
He was unique, and obviously he comes back after they all meet together. So Jake also follows, and his story is pretty fun because he runs into a few kids that were maybe taken from even the Kalas, and that are just being, instead of being, they're having their brains sucked out, they're actually just used as like servant slaves, dishwashers, whatever,
kitchen boys.
Yeah.
And I love how one of the kitchen aides immediately points at Jake and is like, hey, get that guy. And Jake throws a plate and decapitates him. And so the head chef turns around and he's like, hey, you killed my worker. You got to take his place now. He starts shouting at Jake.
It's like his only concern is like, I lost productivity.
Right.
Yeah. You could tell the culture of that restaurant is that people die often.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's the only way to move up in the world.
Yeah.
Gotta kill your boss.
kill your boss.
Take your superior.
Yeah. Ben's like, I could go a lot of places.
Yeah.
Ben's
like, I'd only have to kill one person a month. That job sounds easy.
I felt a little bad for the little kid that was, Jake's holding the kitchen and he tells the kid to stay quiet and he's like, come on, run, get out of here. The kid's like, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, he was too scared.
He was scared, and he was also kind of smart too because he was playing dumb until finally he whispered, mind the mind trap.
He was.
A final parting gift.
I gotta say that Jake's mind trap, although it could have been dangerous, because it was based on a movie that really didn't involve him, it was fine. The dinosaurs were preoccupied with each other, fighting, and Jake just kind of like closed his eyes and let him and Oi did a body swap, basically, and just kind of walked.
But I think that would have worked
I love
for anything.
that scene.
Because Oi just passed through it, but
maybe Jake
once
wouldn't have
Jake
been able to
walked through it, they would have seen him and attacked.
Yeah, could have been, exactly.
That scene was super cool. I loved how they did a really, really brief flashback of Jake's past, where his nanny was basically explaining the movie to him as a little kid.
Right.
And the nanny didn't quite know the names of the dinosaurs. So she's like, oh, that's the Tarabitsaurus Rex. It's a bad dinosaur.
Yeah.
So Jake kept calling it the Tarabitsaurus Rex or something like that.
Yeah. That was definitely kind of a good little character ad, just to add a little backstory that we missed out on with his closeness with the nanny. Miss...
Yeah.
What was her name? Miss...
She made him sandwiches, I remember that.
Yeah. She cut the crust off him.
Yeah.
Yes,
Shows,
exactly.
how
Those
close she was
details.
with her and how not close he was with his
I forgot
family.
her name now, and unfortunately, we don't ever fact check her, so we'll never know. So Jake makes it to the door, and Susanna pulls him in right at the end, and the rest of the posse's trying to figure out, oh crap, like, are they going to kill us for this failure? Not sure. When obviously Roland and Eddie show up and just quickly ice them all. In a pretty easy fashion, so to
Yeah,
speak.
it was really nice seeing it shows how far Eddie has come along as a
Yeah.
gunslinger and how well they work together. Because it was just they
rotating around each other while they're reloading. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty
that was
sweet.
Say
awesome.
how they killed them all before they even got a shot off.
Yeah. Super fast.
Yeah, that was cool. They had I did audiobook only for this story, and there was one of those goons was kind of an interesting character. They described him as like nothing but a giant sentient mouth.
Yes.
And who is the voice actor who read this series again?
George Goodall.
George Goodall, yes.
Frank Mueller also.
He did a really good job of doing a real good monstery voice for that character.
Yeah.
Yeah, Goodall's good. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
So by this point, I guess they all make it kind of get together again at the Dogun, the big Dogun on the Thunderclap side. Not quite Thunderclap Station still, but it's where they take the kids to suck the brain juice out of them for the breakers. And there's also it's also like a hub. There's a lot of doors that take you to a lot of different places, including many New Yorks. They had a lot of New York doors, but a lot are broken. And as we find out, a lot of the old people's technology is breaking down, meaning it's like quite old. So, but it's interesting because we got to see a little bit of how there's pockets in reality that are weak enough, like where Roland and Eddie found that kind of magic portal on Turtleback Lane to get out of Keystone 1977 New York and into 1999 non-Keystone New York. But also, you know, the muties. I forget what those people are called now. The servants at Blue Haven. They wander Thunderclap, and they're basically completely and utterly just radiation poisoned out of their mind.
They call them rods for short.
Yeah, the
Rods. That's
the
it.
rods.
Like Children of Roderick.
Children of Roderick. That was it.
Yes.
And it maybe it's because there was a family of Roderick out there that ended up spawning into this.
Well, it was that, and they were there before
The nuclear
Roland
wars.
and whatever his type of people are called. They were there before them,
Yeah.
and
The gunslingers, the Gileadians.
and it seemed they swore
The Galadians.
fealty to the high priest or whatever
Yeah.
Roland's father was. I can't remember.
Yeah. But it's interesting. So like you could see that even in Midworld and Thunderclap, where it's all just basically nuclear waste from the old wars, it's just there's still people around and out there, and actually they're finding their way in as walk-ins into different places.
Yeah,
So
because on the way to that magic door, the one from the Prime, Eddie and Roland ran into one of the children of Voldrick.
Yep.
And Roland was like, "Stop the car, we gotta
Oh,
do this.
yeah.
This is duty."
Put
I'm
him
not sure
out
if
of
this
his
was the
misery.
beginning of this book or the end of last book, but whatever.
I think it was the end of last, but it could be. Yeah, I'm kind of blurring them
something-
together. But you're right.
But Eddie's like, "No, we gotta go," and it's like, "No, this is my duty. I have to do this." And I just wonder, like, what is his duty towards the children of Voldrick? And
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like they have
he
to put
ended
him
up
out of
talking
misery.
to him and then killing him, but it wasn't like the child didn't want it.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So-
He was accepting of his fate, and it was almost like it was a relief to have a gunslinger, put an end to him. It was
Yeah.
kind of like a relief for whatever reason to
That's
that
what I
creature.
thought too.
It's like Seth.
yeah.
You can't allow yourself to die, but you like look forward to death.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good comparison.
I gotta say the descriptions with the children of Roderick and also the Taheen and all these creatures that really love pus and boogies.
So
gross.
That was so disgusting.
And because of like
They're-
the high levels of radiation, they're like getting a little
God.
and it's so
pimply.
weird. They call it red meat. Like,
Yeah.
you want some red meat?
yeah, that's so gross.
That part was
God.
bad.
Oh man.
You could have it off my finger, Weasel.
Oh God. Yeah, that was so
What a
disgusting.
treat.
I got like kind of sick at that part.
I did.
When
Oh.
Tahim was offering his pus to the other
Oh.
dude. It's like, oh my God, that's so gross. Like, but because because everyone in Blue Haven lives in such close proximity to all of that
Radiation,
like
yeah.
evil or radiation or whatever, they all get these terrible like
Pussy sores.
yeah.
Sadly,
Oh
Ugh.
my God.
Except for Shimi. Shimi didn't get him that often, and they said that he was
Yeah,
clear.
his skin was clear, but
And Roland too. They actually said that Roland was not getting any when Jake was saying like, "I'm getting some
Okay.
sores." And I actually wonder if it just has to do with the fact that Roland and Shimi are from that world, and they've maybe a type of human that's kind of evolved a little bit to
They have a
to handle
resistance
a
to
higher
it.
resistance towards.
I was thinking Roland was because he was from the line of Eld.
Could be.
and he's not quite human all the way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it could
they
be.
said Shimi was because of his mental handicap that they like those people have perfect skin for some reason.
I don't know. I think it might. Maybe it has something to do with that. Maybe Shimmy has a little line of Eld in him hidden, or maybe it's just that they're both from Midworld and they're essentially from the world that it's from. Whereas if the New Yorkers come in, and they're not, they're like a human that's not evolved with this resistance. But anyway, that's a question for maybe some of our listeners out there that could.
Yeah, kind of in this section in the book, they start going into King really invests a lot of time in expanding on like the universe of Blue Haven, and I kind of got a little impatient as a reader in this portion. It almost felt to me like as a reader, this is the last book, and that you're barreling towards the conclusion. And King invests a lot of time in explaining all of the details of this culture that Blue Haven has, which is kind of cool. But for whatever reason, at this exact part in the book, I started getting extremely impatient, and I was like, "Man, why are we like? We know that the Ka-Tet are probably going to come in here and wipe all of this out and make all of this, not a thing anymore. So why is King spending so much time and like really breathing every detail into this place? And I almost want to say that it's a criticism of that portion of the book, but I don't know. I was kind of curious to see what you guys felt about that.
So maybe it's because it's my second time through, but I felt completely fine reading it, and
Okay.
I think that I actually enjoyed it. It almost felt like I made it in Resident Evil to a safe zone, where I found that typewriter and there's a few items in there, and I just get to kind of
You got to
take a
some
breather
relief from the tension.
Yeah, and so for me, then it was like, oh, I'm understanding a little bit more about what the Crimson King is trying to do, what the history of the situation itself was, and also me knowing what's to come was kind of enjoying a little bit of the respite. But that's my second time through, so that may be part of that.
Yeah, for me, I enjoyed that section, but I can see how Andrew could feel that way because at the end, they didn't really add a lot to the story. They could have skipped it, and we still have the full understanding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The only thing it does add, though, is that the Breakers, who are all humans, and they're not like in service. Well, they are in service of the Crimson King, but they don't really understand it as that. They have this job to do to break the beams, and they eventually realize that breaking these beams is gonna kill them. Because once those beams go, the world's gonna end and they're gonna die. But they still do it. And I thought it was really helpful to understand like how these normal people, like they just picked these people off the streets because they had an inborn talent, and they're knowingly gonna end the world, and they're gonna end it themselves too. Like, all committing suicide.
They just kind of know.
That's
They're doing
an
it anyway.
excellent point then.
It's like,
Excellent point.
A lot of people are like, why are these people doing it? There's nothing in it for them.
If you didn't explain why they're doing it, that could be a problem, right? Because you would be reading it and you'd be like, why would they end the world? They're going to end themselves?
Right.
But I guess it does give you that context to understand them a little, like why they would be doing this. So that's a good
without
point.
the explanation, it could feel like a plot hole almost.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Did you like that section, Brett, or
I mean,
what were your thoughts?
I wouldn't go so far as to say that I liked it, but I guess I'd have to read it again to reevaluate how essential I feel it is, whether it's King just kind of indulging or whether without it, it wouldn't feel the same. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it did feel weird. It just felt like, why am I with these people? Like,
right. Yeah. I had that feeling too.
It was a strange feeling for sure.
But
almost, that can be a good thing, you know, putting you kind of out of your comfort zone. Maybe he's trying to like just make us feel as weird as that place feels. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
I gotta say, you bring up a good point. I think there was a little indulgence in there because I don't know if you guys noticed it, but there was actually like a different narration switch. Like suddenly there was like a narrator that came in there and was telling like an old man story around the campfire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and all of a sudden he's weird. Like, and they didn't even know that this creature was right above them. And old Jolly Jimmy was like right here, and little did they know. Like they had this like suddenly we went from out of the standard narration of the Dark Tower and into some campfire storyteller.
I was just about to say,
story.
We're back around the campfire with the man in black and Roland, and he's just like telling him a story.
Yeah, it's like it was really unique. So I almost wonder if King just like accidentally fell into this like flow that put him in that spot, and then because of it, we got that chunk.
Yeah, it for whatever reason to me it felt like you're watching a Star Wars movie, and just as an example. And closer to, halfway through the movie, they just pan to one of the Imperial officers in the Death Star, and they're showing you like his daily life and all the complexities of all the problems that he has to deal with. It's like, dude, this place is going to get blown up anyway. Like, why are we watching this?
Because it's a book.
It felt a little bit like that.
But you're right. No, you're right. Yeah.
You see him like take off his helmet in his room, and he's just like, oh, these people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh man.
But in the film,
I had to do this forever.
in the film version, this would definitely be cut out. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
In the book version, it doesn't need to be. But you're right. There was some uniqueness to it for a little bit. So, and then we get. Well, actually, before we go further there, so we get into Blue Haven because in the Dogun, a few things happen. And one of the biggest things that happens is that Mordred, which, by the way, go ahead.
Jeff, I'm sorry. I just thought of something on that last point. I want to see what you guys think. I'm not sure if I'm fully remembering it, but do you feel also that maybe it could have just been a bit of, like, misdirection?
Could be, yeah.
To what's coming up? Because what's coming up after that
it's the battle.
Pretty
And it's insane. It is.
It's pretty insane. It took me by surprise.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know. It's maybe it's like almost like him kind of trying to get us off our guard, you know?
Yeah.
Like when a magician puts a coin in this hand and he holds it over here, but it's still in this hand, you know? It's just like, hey, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that being a little sleight of hand.
Yeah.
From King, for sure.
Anyway.
Yeah, so
continue.
this section, there's another section about our good old buddy robot, C-3PO.
Nigel.
Nigel. I mean Nigel.
Dude, I imagined him like C-3PO the whole time, too.
Yeah,
Because
me
I imagined
too.
C-3PO with no eyes. Like, oh, dear.
Vision zero.
Yes.
I didn't recognize
That's
you.
the Skywalker. I can't see.
So he comes back to them with food, and he's also twitching. And and he has blood on one of his hands.
Yeah.
And we find out after we read through Baby Mordred's POV chapter.
Oh man.
Which is absolutely interesting for sure.
Absolutely evil.
You're reading like a very dark version of Stewie who can't talk, which he kind of can't, and I mean he can in his mind, but he can't in reality. And then he also is a baby's body, so he rolls out of a chair, and he can't get himself up anymore. And Nigel's changing his diapers and giving him food in the form of crushed Billy Bumblers.
Rats.
And rats.
No, Billy Bumbler was alive.
Billy Bumbler was alive.
And when I read that scared me so much. Like, he stole Oi when they were sleeping.
Yeah.
And he's going to feed it to the king.
I think that's what we were supposed to think. And then you're like, oh my god. And then always dreaming, you're like, oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't kill Oi like this.
I know. I know.
I'd be so mad.
But we do get to find out that this little thing is actually, like, scarily strong. In his interaction with the previously notorious, previously invincible, ever-living, or at least long-living, wandering man in black, Randall Flag.
Yeah. I thought that was
You
a
ain't
bit
lying.
anticlimactic. Just ended like that way.
So I was thinking about that for a long time. I'm like, that did seem a little anticlimactic, the way that the notorious Randall Flag Man in Black would go out. However, then I thought about it a little bit, and it kind of felt very fitting for how much of a bastard that fuck was for like his entire life.
Yeah. I was extremely surprised. I listened to that section a couple times just because I knew it was pretty important part of the series. And the first time I listened to it, I was like, whoa, wait, what's going on? Like, what? Why is this happening? Like, Mordred basically gets Walter in a trap and devours him alive. And you're just like, dude, I cannot believe the Man in Black is dying like this. This is insane. And then on some of the other listens that I went through, it was a lot more like malicious. And truly, it gives you a really good sense of Mordred's extreme pure evil. Mordred is pure evil. You really can't get much more like sadistic than that. Like he was forcing Randall Flag to feed him his eyeballs and then feed him his tongue, and it's like, oh my god, dude, that scene horrific.
Was so hard. Like when he wrote it, Stephen King wrote that so well, because I was like cringing when he like popped his eyeball and like gobbled it up, and then he tries to bite his tongue off, but he can't get it all the way off, and then the spider just gets up and close and just like sucks it out of his mouth, his spider mouth, and I'm just like,
it was. I have to say that even though I do agree that it felt a little anticlimactic, there's a part of me that really, really loves how Stephen King did it, because I often think to myself, like, sometimes in the movies, it's like we do like to have that moment where like the hero kills the bad guy, and it's like this big, but it's like you're allowing, I mean, this isn't a bad thing, but I'm saying you're allowing the bad guy to like reach all the way to almost his goal, and then he's defeated. And I always thought that it's kind of funny to just think about the idea. I mean, granted, the Crimson King's like the main bad guy, but I always thought it'd be kind of funny just to like have like this big, elaborate like villain, and then like halfway through the movie he just gets like hit by a car. It's just like oh shit, man.
Well,
that's how I thought that was gonna go.
Well, in a way, that's kind of what happened, right? Because he didn't get hit by a car, but he got hit by Mordred, and he was coming in with this big like, oh, I'm gonna toy with this, just like I toy with everyone else in life.
Right.
And he wanted to get it to the tower, and we also learned that the big bad guy, the Crimson King, is actually just straight up insane now. He's like an insane old man who's trapped on a balcony of the. That's what they were indicating, right?
Yeah, he's beyond insane already at this point in the story.
They also say he's kind of like trapped
like
on the Dark Tower on like a floor, like he can't really move. So you picture this guy who's like trying to get up the Dark Tower and then trapped himself in it, and then just goes completely insane for like the years of just being trapped.
Yeah,
right.
It's like if I just
That's why originally a couple books ago I was talking about the idea of like, what if the Man in Black is helping Roland get to the tower because the Crimson King just wants to cease to exist? He just wants to die.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about that a little bit like 2 or 3 books ago.
Yeah, and that Walter is like an agent that's just facilitating that end goal.
Yeah, because there were moments where we're like, okay, he's definitely an asshole, but seems like he's kind of helping him.
Yeah,
right.
And he was, because he needs that tattoo on Roland's foot to
Mordred's foot. Yeah, he needs the tattoo is like the key, and then he also needs.
Roland has it too. And
Roland has it too. Oh, because they're both related to the. Yeah, that's right.
And he was going to use Roland, but then he's like, "Oh, let's take him from this baby. It's so easy."
Yeah.
But
take it from the baby so easy.
It's not
whoops.
quite that easy.
Much easier to take from Roland. Jesus. That's a good point.
I was initially confused about why Walter even wanted to confront Mordred, but that, obviously that was part of it. And they mentioned at the very end, I think right before Walter finally is killed, he's like, I let my intense hatred of the gunslinger get the best of me.
Yeah.
Like if only he would have been a little bit more patient, he could have gotten out of that trap.
Yeah, because he even said like his goal changed from getting into the Dark Tower to like killing Roland.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because he originally was helping the Crimson King only because he felt like he might be able to just go in there and take the Crimson King's place, essentially. Like, I'm going to get up to the tower, like, screw the Crimson King. And he's kind of, like, helping him. But they
Seems
both...
like a good plan.
Yeah, they both need Roland because they need that tattoo or that birthmark. And then they need some other things. And so they're helping Roland along, trying to turn him as they go.
Was anybody else a little surprised by that, though? That he hated the gunslinger so much? I was almost kind of envisioning a Joker Batman type situation where he's like, I don't want to kill you. It's like, I love you. Yeah. You're so much fun.
It's fun to torment.
That's what I kind of envisioned. I thought he almost had like a perverse love for him because it's like, this guy's given me meaning for like thousands of years.
Yeah,
literally. But then at the end, he just straight up is like, I want him dead. Like, you realize his extreme hatred for him. And I was actually really surprised at that. I was envisioning it different.
I kind of think that part of it may be that he started to run into a situation where he's just getting tired. Like, he wants to get to the goal. They've been at this a long time. He's been basically tasked to wander in front of and wander behind of the gunslinger forever, and he's just started to build up all this resentment, and then he finds an easier way to get in the tower, and he's like, oh, now I can take this baby and kill this bastard. And move on. But then also part of it may be because he might have known. I can't remember when he says that he wanted to kill the gunslinger. It's like when he's thinking about it, but I think it's like close to when he's dead.
Yeah, like, he says it to Mordred. He's like, just promise me like one thing, right?
You'll kill your dad or whatever. Yeah. And I think part of it is because he's dying, and then he realized like, holy crap, I'm dying, and the gunslinger's not dying.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's just like, just kill that son of a bitch. Now I regret not killing him. You know what I mean?
Why did I play with my food for so long? I'm not even going to be able to eat my meal.
Yeah, right? So I think that was kind of dawning on him a little bit there as well.
Right.
So, but But
Yeah.
super interesting.
The great Randall
scene.
Flag, Walter O'Dim,
Yeah.
all of his other many names. That's how he meets his end.
Yes.
A fond farewell.
wait. I gotta get. Don't cheers it yet. I'm getting a refill for this one. I do need to do that.
Wow, man.
The flag is flown at half mast or no mast.
No mast.
No mast flag.
Oh dear. Wow. Yeah, man. Insane.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good scene, even though it was really weird.
Yeah.
It was super creepy.
It was. It was kind of rapey as well because like Mordred was commanding him to do all these things as he's losing his organs and stuff. It's like, oh my god, that's
now we can cheers.
On such a vile.
You know what's really weird though?
Wait.
Is that? Did you guys get your cheers going?
We are gonna wait for you guys. To the great and notorious Randall Flag. No eye, no tongue flag.
I think it's super interesting. Just a stupid side note. I thought it was funny. Like you mentioned, like it felt a little rapey, and like that cringes me more than the fact that he murdered him. It's like, oh yeah, rapey.
right. That makes it even worse. Somehow.
It's like even worse.
Yeah. So, and then of course, good old Nigel, takes his own death there as well. In stride, he takes it.
Yeah.
And our Ka-Tet goes through.
I think this is where this idea is introduced, but they've been talking about, and maybe they mentioned this outright and I missed it, but they've been talking about how like Mordred, that's his name, Mordred. Mm-hmm. Mordred is like the product of the Crimson King and Roland.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And they keep saying how his destiny is to kill his dad.
Yes.
So like, couldn't that just as easily mean that Mordred's gonna go kill the Crimson King?
It could.
Well, he wants to.
He wants to.
I'm
He
pretty
does
sure
say
he
that,
said
right?
it.
Okay.
That he's gonna kill the king and take his place.
Right.
Okay, so the new kind of like ultra antagonist right now is Mordred then.
Right.
The
Yes.
Crimson King's not even our main focus potentially.
He's an
a little
insane
baby.
old man trapped in the tower.
So the main bad guys is an insane old man and a little baby.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And a little baby were-spider. A little baby were-spider. And then of course you have Randall Flag who's out. And just the breakers themselves who are on autopilot trying to kill the beam.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do you guys feel like if what's it called? If oh man, I just completely lost my train of thought. Continue.
Well, then we get
They went through the broken door.
Exactly, the
They
broken door.
found the one last door that was working, semi-working, we should say, to Thunderclap.
Yeah.
And they took it, and they got super sick.
Yeah.
And were helpless when... What's his name?
It was Eisenhower. No, I forgot. I forgot his name.
Oh, it was
Dickie Earnshaw.
Yeah,
That's
Earnshaw.
it. Earnshaw. Bill, right? Isn't it Bill?
I think
Bill
so,
Earnshaw.
yeah.
William
Bill
Earnshaw.
yeah.
Sounds
Bill,
like a painter.
Bill, Dickie, and Little Silent, but who we now realize is Shimi.
Mm-hmm.
We've
been waiting for his reappearance for a long time.
Now that totally, you got to remember too that it's been a long time since I read this, and I had completely forgot that Shimi
comes
made
back.
a reappearance.
I know, this kind of beats into our idea that Oi is Shimi.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was going to say. I kept saying that earlier, and I'm like, I think
So did
Oi's
I.
just Ka-Tet reincarnated. It's got to be somehow related to Shimi.
But
no.
you know what? It's also possible that these reincarnations are like loose connections. Like he finds people that fill the same role and are of similar temperament. You know, it may not be actual reincarnations of the same spirit or whatever.
At least we think it's almost 99.9% positive that Eddie Dean is a reincarnated version of Cuthbert.
Right.
Cuthbert.
And,
because of the fact that Stephen King himself in a trance in the book called him that.
Right.
But maybe Jake, Susanna, and Oi are not. Like, they don't
Possibly.
have to be. Yeah, they don't have to be.
It just seems really
Alan
coincidental
and
that Jake has the touch, just like
Alan
Alen did.
Or
Yeah.
Lan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
And then,
Extremely.
And
well,
their
they all
personalities are pretty similar too, I think.
a little bit. It seems, yeah.
Well, he's a kid, but he's also calm and
Yeah.
like will think things through and kind of be the center for long.
Right.
Well, maybe, but a little bit later, like Jake almost loses it at a cab driver for hitting Oi when he had no idea that Oi was going to teleport in the middle of the road. And then also, Jake flashed some insane jealousy with Mordred when Roland and Jake are tracking Mordred. And Roland asks him not to tell Susanna and Eddie about it.
Yeah.
And Jake's like, I'm going to kill that son of a bitch. He's like, kind of like jealous about the fact that it's kind of Roland's kid.
Jealous, and he's a gunslinger, but he's also a kid too himself.
That's true.
He's 14.
Yeah.
I am a little. I mean, I'm not super worried because I'm sure that Roland will help him develop and stuff like that. But I do get a little worried about Jake sometimes because it's a lot of pressure as a kid. I mean, no, he's a gunslinger, but even though we feel like gunslingers are infallible, it's like there's no proof that. I mean, they can be. I'm sure they can be corrupted. I'm sure there's gunslingers that have gone terrible directions, you know, and. I don't know. I worry about Jake sometimes. He's smoking now. He's hanging with the wrong crowd.
He's already killed just a few
Ka-Tet's
people.
breaking.
Yeah. He's like, if I can smoke and have a beer too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Next we'll be doing lines of coke off his hookers.
Yeah, exactly. Lines of coke off a street.
He'll be wearing an Oi mink coat.
I mean, that's the
You
first
don't know
thing
my
Roland
life.
did. That's the first thing Roland did once he got his guns. He got a hooker.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, I'm a man now. I'm gonna get me some sex.
Of course,
I mean,
Roland
that's how
loves
Roland
it.
lost his, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, Roland likes that. Yeah, but I do say that it could be. I mean, we gotta keep reading.
Yeah.
But we know the Ka-Tet's breaking,
Yeah.
and their attitude towards that is interesting.
And when
They
the
like
Ka-Tets
feel
break,
it. Yeah.
everything speeds up or some shit.
Well,
That's
Roland
exactly what the
said
quote was.
that they feel it, but it's not set in stone. They said that we can avert it. Like, you can avert that. But as we'll get to a little bit later, they were not able to avert that. But
Really?
Yeah, as we'll get to a little bit later.
Okay.
So they met up with some breakers who were in secret rebellion
Yeah.
from the Crimson King.
Yeah, they're going to rebel because they actually know that what they're doing is wrong.
They know it and they care.
Yeah, and this does relate to the book Hearts in Atlantis, which Stephen King also makes fun of himself for writing instead of the Dark Tower in his journal entries.
Is that Bill's story when he says, "Oh, this is a story from another time"?
Yeah,
Is that
that's Hearts of Atlantis. That's correct.
I was totally thinking the whole time, like, is this Stephen King just completely making up something that is fitting for the story? Or is he kind of, like, jabbing at his own, like, regrets and insecurities? It's like Roland's like, this stupid loser is lazy. It's like, he's not writing the book he's supposed to.
Right. He's working on this.
Like, I wonder if he actually felt that way. Like, oh, I kept going for the easy money.
Yeah.
The low-hanging fruit.
He's working on this dumb story nobody cares about. Yeah. He's not getting to the Dark Tower.
It's probably like he just took fan letters straight from...
he just transcribed fan
yeah.
letters. You idiot!
But yeah,
I
so
read your book 4 times. I know better than you.
they did some badass stuff though, right? So they have Shimi, who is actually a teleport that they're hiding it. They're super powerful breakers who are also easily able to manipulate kind of the technology around Blue Heaven.
The telemetry.
Or Blue Haven. And then they also stocked them up a cave of all kinds of goodies. Just amazing goodies
best
all
cave
over the
ever.
place. So clearly...
It's an ATV
Yeah.
out of it. That's pretty boss.
They got like...
The hog of Susanna.
Yeah. They get, they get like laser guns and sneeches.
Yep.
Get some more sneeches and all kinds of weaponry. And so they're super pumped.
I love how Stephen King has managed to take credit for Harry Potter by writing it into this book.
I know.
Say, hey, it's my idea now.
The Harry Potter model. Just all kinds of good stuff. Laser guns. They all get new guns. But in the end, when they actually launched the assault, I mean, they just smoked these guys. Yeah. These guys had not a clue.
Well, how long have they been there? And they've never... I don't think they would ever have an attack on them in all the time.
Yeah, they never have.
The only thing they were worried about was the breakers getting out, really. And then for like 4 gunslingers to come in, they had no response.
They had a great plan too. They had the one of the Child of Roderick go in there and put some sneeches under garbage cans throughout. Yeah. And then also he got to keep the snotty. And remember, like, his POV was awesome because of how close he was to saying, like, I couldn't lie if they were to ask me the wrong question. Yeah. Instead, they asked him this question and let him go. You know,
and then they showed him. Awesome. They didn't look in there like, it's just tissues.
Yeah.
Get out.
God. So gross.
Yeah, I know. Still, he's like, I wonder if I give this to Jenna and there's some goopy, bloody boogies in there, too. Maybe she'll let me put my porky in there.
A little porky. Yeah. It's like, ooh, I got a poker later.
Stephen King, really likes to go out of his way to overly make sure you should hate these people. In case you didn't know, they also eat pus on top of murdering people.
Right. To them, boogers are money to them.
Yeah.
That's how gross they are.
Yeah. We did find out.
I can handle the murdering and the raping, but this is beyond me.
Right?
We did find out what they do even to their own people who break rules, and also to breakers. They lobotomize them.
Yeah.
And they lobotomized a few people. They told that story about the one guy they lobotomized, and
strict punishment.
Yeah, and even the guy who removed his thinking cap, which, by the way, that's what Randall Flag thought would save him from the super powerful psychic abilities that Mordred have. One of those thinking caps, which does actually seem to work for most normal psychics, but definitely not Mordred's strength.
Which is a good detail, because I'm sure that's going to come in handy later when he's fighting people that have those caps, because a lot of the Crimson King's people have those, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because of they have to be in close proximity to psychics all the time.
To a lot of psychics, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But interesting to know that's... Well, remember, too, like, the entire point of Mordred is not only to kill Roland, but also he's supposed to be, like, a super breaker. So he's supposed to, go and super break. But it's funny that they still went forward with that plan, because based on everything that we heard, there's only 2 beams left, and both are about screwed anyway.
Yeah.
Like, they're gonna go. Yeah. They even said...
And as soon as one falls, basically the other one's instantly done for as well, right?
His name's not Bill, it's Ted.
Yeah.
Ted, not Bill.
Oh, okay. Ted Brannigan? Is that the name?
Brannigan, that's it.
Brannigan, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Who is the
Ultra Breaker.
Brannigan.
Ted,
It's also an F.
Yeah, he's like a...
What's that they call him?
Yeah, his special ability is to, like, enhance everyone around him.
Oh, yeah,
by a little bit,
catalyst.
by like 10 times.
Like an amplifier.
Amplifier or whatever, yeah. They had a name for it, but I forget what it is now.
Yeah.
But,
he's a level 3 bard.
Yeah, they said, like, even Ted, they probably don't need him anymore. They just... Because the beam's so close to being done. And everyone's had a dream of the beam. So, a few things.
That should be a t-shirt.
A dream of the beam.
I always dream of the beam.
Yeah.
This is just a random side thought, which may have been explained already, but I think maybe if there's any readers who are also kind of equally confused about it, this quick question may be a benefit to them. They gave the beams names, and a lot of the beams matched the names of the guardians, like the animal guardians. Mm-hmm. So they said that one of the remaining beams was the bear beam, which I'm like, well, they killed the bear in Guardian in the Wastelands. So is that beam already dead and the breakers don't know that yet?
No. So the beam is named after the bear. The turtle's on the other side. But the thing about it is they just made the Guardian at the end in the shape of a bear as the symbolic part of matching the Guardian with the beam's trajectory. So killing the bear did nothing.
Yeah.
It was
Did
just
nothing to the beam
The
itself.
bears and the Guardians were man-made.
Yeah,
And
the
they
Guardians were
made them
man-made.
to protect the points.
The bear's
of the
there to
beam.
protect the beam, but it's not linked to the beam,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
It's not the
Well,
beam.
Success isn't a prerequisite.
Right,
of
right.
it.
Yeah, the
Okay.
beams are not necessarily man-made. They're like magic-made. They came from the Prim or
They were
something
there
like that. Yeah. So like it's kind of like man discovering some new physics law, and then they're just kind of in the honor of the beam itself, which is named after the bear. They made that Guardian a bear.
Yeah.
That shape
Gotcha.
of Guardian was the bear. But the
Seems like bad planning by the Prim to make a universe that can be like destroyed by just knocking down some beams.
it's interesting to think about that mythology.
Way to go, Prim.
Because the Prim itself is maybe not conscious at all. It's just like a super. What do they call that? Like life soup. You know, it's like essentially just maybe a matter or an
Primordial-
energy.
It could just be a
or-
name for the laws of the universe.
Right. It could be. We don't
Yeah.
really quite know what it is, but we know like it's just something that existed. So that all energy and matter seems to have come from. But they say that creatures from the Prim that come from the Prim are like the elementals, and maybe even the reason the Crimson King is actually maybe long lost relative to Roland, because Arthur Eld wanted to like spread his seed so far that they say the rumor is that he tried to mate with a creature from the Prim, and then the
Just
Crimson,
like a man.
the Crimson King is essentially
Something I haven't had sex
part
with
of-
yet.
part of the line of Eld, but
He
is
said that,
half Prim.
but now that kind of makes me remember, was the Crimson King like his brother? The Arthur Eld's brother? Or somehow related to him?
Well, I think the Crimson King is related to Arthur Eld, but I don't think it's his brother. I think he's an offspring, half Prim creature, half.
I missed that completely somehow. I
Yeah.
didn't know that the Crimson King was related to
Yeah.
the line
they-
of Eld at all.
Yeah, because that's how he entered
The tower.
the tower in the first place.
Yeah,
Because I'm assuming like all true descendants from Arthur Eld have that birthmark.
yeah, or at
They-
least all prominent descendants
Yeah.
do, or something, right? So, because like I think Cuthbert and Alen are also technically somehow related to the line of Eld, as all the baronies are.
Yeah.
But they may be too distant, or you don't know. Like we don't really know that yet. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But somehow like to get into the Dark Tower, there has to be some kind of connection to Arthur Eld. So, but
I know one thing that's always been. Wow, this is kind of off topic. So go ahead.
no. It's,
I was gonna say one thing that's kind of confused me a little bit. Maybe they explained it, but one thing that kind of confuses me a little bit is like they're looking for the Dark Tower, but the Dark Tower like contains everything, like all the floors of the Dark Tower, like all the universes and all the existences and all the time periods and all the everywhere. It's like, so if everything is inside the Dark Tower and they're looking for the Dark Tower, aren't they already in the Dark Tower?
yeah. So my thought there is just that because the Dark Tower is essentially a hub or a gateway to the entire universe.
Right.
In one world, a Keystone world, there's Keystone New York, there's this Keystone Midworld,
Right.
and in that, the gateway to the Dark Tower, or the entry point to that nexus of universes, is actually physically the shape of the tower. Whereas if in other places, it's maybe not. You know what I mean? It's just, it could be just space and time or whatever, but it actually, in this particular Keystone world, or maybe man or magic, made a hub or a nexus or a gateway, and it's represented as the tower itself. So, but that's just a theory.
Man.
So,
This is one thing I know for sure, is that out of the two big series that we've done so far, Stormlight Archive and this one, both of them I really want to reread again.
yeah.
It's just, it's so, there's so much. It's so interesting. I really,
Yeah.
I
So I was thinking about
this
that
more.
too, but
Yeah, there's a lot of clues under the surface.
Yeah.
That require
Well,
Stuff that I
Yeah.
probably missed thinking
One
it
of the
wasn't
things-
important, that on a second read through I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But one of the things I thought of is the Dark Tower, and they talk about different levels of the Dark Tower, is that each level is another world, and that they have to travel through these worlds to get to either the top or the center, or they can actually interact with the Dark Tower.
Like once you go in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think almost like it's just hard. We're gonna have to finish it, and this will really we'll really dive deep into the philosophy of all this when we get through next episode, because we'll all be done with the book again. I'll have it fresh in my mind, and we'll discuss what we really think.
Yeah.
But it definitely has to do with this world itself. And actually, I have a lot of, once we get to the end, I have a lot of theories about what might actually all of this might, be. But I don't know that anything's confirmed. So,
Yeah.
so we shall see.
Nice.
Now,
Also,
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go for it.
No, I thought we were done. Go ahead.
Well, we are. I mean, we're going to move on to another topic, but
Oh, I thought we were done for this episode because we're at
no.
Yeah,
We-
we're at 55.
But we're just going to go long because I don't think we have enough material to talk a whole nother episode.
Oh, really?
Cause
I'm fine with that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm fine with
yeah.
that.
So
I was just gonna say I'm gonna start doing this so that when you edit it together, it looks like I'm looking at you guys.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm gonna have Brent in it. Yeah, I have to figure out how I'm gonna lay this together because what we're gonna, instead of having just a little clip of Andrew in the corner, we're gonna have like you guys there. So maybe it's like half and half, or maybe it's like something else,
Yeah.
So
We'll
we'll have
see.
to figure that out. But
You guys watching this will know already.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Anyway,
But,
all right, let's go. Let's continue.
But the next part I was going to get to is they actually do attack Blue Haven. And they stomp them like super easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Blue Haven people are really not prepared for a gunslinger fight.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because isn't this the place where the guy is like super on edge because he's like, well, when you're almost home, that's when you get worried about
Right. Yeah.
whatever he said, dropping the groceries or some crap like that.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly what that was.
And they both know, like the two commanders, the Tahine commander and the human commander, they know that they all both have this feeling that something's not right,
Right. Yeah.
And they also know that the work's coming to an end. And
they do.
Yeah.
Which
and
therefore means the end of existence.
yes,
Yeah.
but in the main commander's mind, he's like, "Oh, I'm just doing God's work somehow. I'm somehow justifying that to myself." And then
It's kind of a odd justification when you got that guy's POV. It was
I know.
like, well,
I wish I could do that. I wish I could be like,
spin anything the way you want it.
Brett, why
Yeah.
are you working so hard to make movies? Doing God's work. Like how that make it super easy to get motivated.
Yeah.
God told me, man.
and then they're like, okay, well, there's a few things that happened there, right? They totally got ambushed. They got screwed mightily. The plan worked fantastic. But there was some issues. Like, there's a few lucky things that happened. Like, what's his name took his car, the fire, or his gun. He took his gun.
Yeah. But they had automatic fire response that ran over some of their own people.
Yeah.
A lot of their own people.
Yeah.
They seem to care.
That's
accident.
Dude, I think the freaking
problem with AI.
fire robots killed like a dozen people, and then at one point I think it crashes into something and blows up like another 6 or 7 guards, right?
Well,
like they're in the middle of a shootout with the gunslingers, and the
Yeah.
freaking fire robots come around and like blast a bunch of their own guards out of the way.
Thank
It's
you.
hilarious. It's hilarious because this is what happens when you program fire response to care only about fire response. And then secondly, they talk about how all the machinery is like going bad.
It's like the
all
it's like
dying.
the paperclip dilemma. Have you ever heard that about like AI? If you program an AI to make paper clips, it'll like destroy everything to just make it a paperclip into it.
Yeah.
It's like you have to be really careful about how you program AI because it could just like destroy the whole universe because it's like must make paper clips.
Right. Human life is being inefficient to letting me create paper clips, so it must be eliminated.
Or in this case, the fire protection group was like, must put out fire, run over everyone in the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Without knowing the whole reason to put out a fire is to save lives.
Yeah. So stupid. That's another little bit of King's technophobia sneaking into the story.
King's sitting there typing it out on like an old like 1950s typewriter.
Oh, dude, he is for sure. Dude, there's no way King is not writing this story on an old school 1970s typewriter.
Oh, so funny.
With the,
Yeah, somehow I can't imagine King walking through in the backyard with his iPhone dictating it to Siri.
Andrew, look at that.
Yeah, there he is. Look at him. There's the man with the plan.
With the
typewriter.
Old school typewriter.
He's proud of that sucker, man. I would be too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So funny. Dude, anyway, they get through, get stomped. Susanna's got that beastly motorcycle. They got automatic laser
Does she
cannons.
have a sniper rifle in this scene too? She's like picking off guards on the guard tower.
And then
stuff.
she's got a sniper rifle, like a sniper laser rifle, right? Or
No,
something?
she doesn't have the laser rifle.
she just
set
has
those up as
intermediates.
to go
intermediates to go off. That's right.
More.
I think
Just
she does
once
have a
when she
sniper.
was picking people off, I really wanted her to just be like, honky ass mofos.
a little dead sneaks through.
Oh my gosh. I think it was Mueller or whatever that was doing the voice at that point, and it was so good.
Yeah. It was
Have
fantastic.
fun falling out of your ivory tower. Jeez.
And unfortunately, though, at the very end, it was Roland who thought he killed this guy, but because of I don't know if you call it luck or just something crazy, he kind of like fell over right before Roland's bullet could blast through his head, and because of it, he was grazed instead. And he had
I'm really shocked that Roland wasn't able to determine that, though.
Yeah, to discern that immediately.
I mean, it was like smoky, cloudy, people everywhere. Yeah. I mean, it was in the middle of a battle scene.
Yeah.
I'm not faulting him for it necessarily, but just like in the past, he seemed to have shown extra human, like superhuman, like ability with the shot, and to like know exactly where his bullet is and exactly where his target is.
And I think
it just seemed a little.
I think it is that way in Roland's mind because it says right after that line, you don't know what's going to happen yet, but it says that, and from then on, Roland still blames like that moment, that himself. For that, and I think it's because he thinks he should have seen that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But
I mean, there's that, and they said something I can't remember that he was like something was happening. That made him
like look away or go somewhere really fast. It was like something else.
I know it's chaotic,
but also, I also kind of feel it's like it's just the author deciding that he's gonna live and get that shot off.
Yeah. Possibly, yeah.
And then Roland's gonna miss it. Nothing that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
in everything before this, Roland would have seen it and take care of that shot another one. But this one time, I mean, like, nope.
This is a little different,
like, to
though.
me, it would have made more sense if it happened with any of the other gunslingers, just because they're slightly less trained, less experienced. But I feel like King could not do that to any other character but Roland. You know?
I think so, but I also think that we just hold Roland to, like, we have to think back to Wizarding Glass a little bit sometimes to remember. Like, it's really easy to forget that Roland is not a god.
Not superhuman.
Yeah, he's not superhuman. He's just really damn good. So, like, I think that if we think back to that a little bit, we kind of remember. And also, we got to remember, too, that Roland is something's happening to him. He's decaying.
That's true, yeah.
Well, that stopped.
Did it?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Let's cut that out.
He's decaying. He's having issues, right? He's feeling strange pains, headaches. He's got a bit of a shake, that he didn't used to have. So you think about that a little bit.
Is it the Harlem Shake?
Yeah, if you think
got a
of
motorcycle.
He can
helmet
dance.
on.
He can dance the Kamala and do the Harlem Shake.
Oh my god!
but my point is that like I don't want to jump straight to it shouldn't have happened if it was Roland. I want to think a little bit about it at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. I don't blame him at all. I'm just saying I was a little surprised. You know.
Yeah. Another thing I was really surprised
that's
about
an insanely. I mean, I don't care how experienced. Like even Usain Bolt could trip while walking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
no matter how skilled you are, anybody can mess up.
But
I'm
there
not
is
saying
that-
it was just surprising to me because
But
it
one other
seemed like
thing-
something he could have been able to discern possibly.
that happened was they decided to have a group hug before going through all the people who weren't dead yet, because they did this afterwards and
Yeah.
shoot them.
Yeah.
They're like, let's have a group hug instead of checking
Roland was getting softer.
the dead guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what they did right afterwards. They went
Yeah.
around and shot everyone who was still alive.
Yeah.
They definitely Roland was feeling sentimental. And normally he would have been all business. They would have gone and double tapped anyone that they thought might be.
But it
around.
also makes me wonder if that feeling, I can't remember what they called it.
The breaking
car
feeling.
breaking,
Yeah.
that he kind of accepted it and he wanted to say goodbye.
He wanted to
instead
hug.
of like fighting it, I'm like, this could be
Yeah.
being on
Yeah.
edge all the time.
It's interesting.
There was an overwhelming sense of finality to everything that's going on in this book, and the characters feel it, the readers feel it.
Yeah.
It's
The
in
author
air.
feels it as he wrote himself as a character into the book. So,
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Indeed.
but
Yep.
yeah, I definitely do think there could have been something, you know, and unfortunately, it ends up with that bastard waking up to put one more bullet, and that bullet happens to go through Eddie Dean's eye.
Yeah.
And
You say true, I say thank you.
Yeah, we have to have a cheers to. And by the way, we did have Brett bets around this.
Shut up.
Yeah.
I think we all got this one wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could not participate because obviously I had more insight, but
We'll do pay up clips later. We're not going to pay up now. This is just a cheers.
This is just a cheers
To Eddie Dean.
Eddie.
A cheers to Eddie Dean,
Motherfucking Dean.
the fucking Dean, and Eddie Dean from New York, also, which I talked to Brett about earlier, died in the exact same fashion that Cuthbert Allgood died.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Really?
He died. Randall Flag himself put an arrow through Cuthbert's eye.
Yeah.
And Eddie Dean took a bullet to the eye exactly
eye.
the same way, which is another, in my opinion, duality that confirms that Eddie Dean is reincarnated.
We may someday, Jeff, have to do a revisit episode where we discuss in depth exactly our theories and thoughts on what type of connection these links have to these Ka-Tets.
Definitely.
Because I think there's a lot to do, interesting stuff there.
Yeah.
That would really suck though.
But I got to read it again first.
Every time you're reborn, you die the exact same way.
Yeah, every time you're reborn, you die the same way. Like
Yeah.
somehow have some kind of similarity. And,
Shot to the eye, arrow to the eye.
yeah, and it was really interesting because King did something really unique here. And I'd never caught it the first time. So I had no idea. The second time I read it, I caught it. Because earlier in the books, Roland has a dream about Cuthbert's death. And it had to do with an arrow in the eye. And in this book, right before Randall Flag dies, he has an internal thought about how he hated the gunslinger, and he was the one who put an arrow right into Cuthbert's eye.
Yeah.
And those two things combined, first time I read it, I don't think I caught that. Second time through, I was like, holy shit. It died exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting.
Yeah, I
So,
didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Neither did I.
Yeah, it was my second round through. And I, like,
Cheater, reading it twice.
I know. But that's what you're saying. Like, these books, there's so many layers to
there's a
them.
lot-
Sometimes
a lot to
you
them.
need a reread. And I was so surprised. I was like, oh my God, I didn't catch that the first time. So, but that's interesting, something for us to think about.
Yeah.
And Eddie still doesn't die right away. He actually lives for quite a while in some kind of a crazy semi-stupor fever. But his ending scene, I was like almost tearing, but it was super awesome. Because he had like a moment where he came back to reality and had this like, this is your job now. And then he warned Jake that he's supposed to protect his din against Penello.
Yeah.
It's Dandolo.
Oh,
Dandolo.
Where did Penello come from?
You said that, I thought
Penello.
like Final Fantasy 12?
Yeah. Oh, Dandolo, that's it.
You need to
Dandolo.
protect your Dean?
Din.
Your din against Perrier.
Perrier the water. Yeah.
That's how Roland is fated to die. By
Yeah.
choking on sparkling Perrier. I could not picture that at all.
I have a carbonation allergy.
Yeah.
So,
Roland would not be drinking sparkling water.
He did though. Remember
Yeah.
he did the he did the
Sparkling
campfire.
water?
Yeah, he found a Perrier.
Yeah.
And they did like the
Oh
the,
my
like
God.
I drink with you around
You're
the
right.
campfire
yeah,
thing.
they did.
You're right.
They
Oh
did.
my God.
They had Perrier.
Is this water? It's like, yeah.
Oh
and then
my
they all
God.
drink
Yeah.
it.
This gives me ideas to make a Roland cocktail with Perrier.
Yes.
Oh, we will.
Actually, we are.
Stay tuned to the website
Yeah.
and the YouTube channel because we'll make a special Dark Tower cocktail with Perrier.
We'll actually have to get together to
And
film it
Popkins.
for sure because
Pumpkins.
for the next
blend it up.
for the next episode, for the final episode we do on
That's a good idea.
the Dark Tower, I'm gonna do Perrier and Honey Jack in honor of the gunslinger, and then
We'll have
also
Andrew concoct something special. Maybe
Yeah.
that'll be it. But
yeah.
I can't picture Roland drinking Honey Jack.
No, we're all gonna do a variation. You make your own cocktail. We'll talk about them in the episode, but we'll all do a cocktail with Perrier. The key is that there has to be Perrier involved for the breaking of the Ka-Tet, and then
my cocktail is Perrier. I'm just gonna be
Straight
Yeah.
sparkling water.
Shit's
so
rough.
I do have some fears, right? So at the end of this, Jake and Roland are going to go alone to save the writer. Their second task, the second main task. First,
Yeah.
they prioritize the beam because of Shimi's dream, which
Yeah.
also made all of them remember that they all had a dream as well.
Yeah, they had the same
Similar,
dream, pretty much.
different context for each of them, but basically the same dream. And then, so they knew they had to save the beam first. Second, though, they got to save the writer, which the writer, in a way, is kind of like the second beam.
Yeah.
And that's King himself. So Jake and Roland are going to go do that. And Eddie was being buried, but Susanna's not going along. She's a mess, and I wonder, and this is where we get into the breaking of the Ka-Tet, Brett. So, and Roland himself at this moment says it's broken. It's done. The Ka-Tet's
Right.
never going to be the same. Eddie is gone. So, with Eddie gone, it's dead, and it's only going to get worse. So, now I feel we have to be fearful of what that means to the Ka-Tet. What does that mean to their success, to the tower? Before I was thinking, what if they all make it to the tower and you lose one, at the end?
Yeah.
But now we've lost Eddie.
We've already lost one.
And we lost Callahan. And most of you guys got that right, by the way. You got Callahan
Yeah, we
right.
did.
He wasn't a true member of the Ka-Tet, though. He was more like an honorary member.
I think it was a
I
true
was
member.
actually a little bit surprised because when we were making that Brett bet, I even said, well, I'm going to stick to the members of the Ka-Tet.
Yeah.
I really wasn't associating him with the Ka-Tet at all, but
Yeah.
even in the book, they said that he was kind of a member of the
Yeah.
Ka-Tet.
He
so-
became, they described it in the Wolves.
He's a guest party.
Yeah, they said
Right.
he was kind of he kind of fell in with the Ka-Tet. He was linked with him. If he's not part of the Ka-Tet, he's closely tied. If he was truly part of the Ka-Tet, though, he would have allowed them to proceed with Susanna's abortion.
Now let me ask you guys
so.
this, because as soon as
Yeah.
I found out that Callahan was considered part of the Ka-Tet, according to Stephen King, the writer, well, not the character, but the actual writer, I I kind of started questioning a little bit exactly what a Ka-Tet is. Do you guys think that a Ka-Tet is just something that kind of happens based off of who joins the group and what happens, or do you think that it is actually a Ka-driven thing and Ka determines who members of the Ka-Tet are?
I think Ka determines it, but that's why I don't think Callahan was a true member. I think he was just
that's
kind of...
That's why I thought that too, because I think the same thing.
He was kind of... I think he was kind of part of the Ka-Tet temporarily, like a guest party. He was like absorbed into it temporarily.
I think Ka determines the Ka-Tet.
Right.
But I also think that even though he joined late, that he was part of the Ka-Tet fully because Ka drove him on his own path to be in
that place at that time.
Place with Black 13 and the ability to get them to the next part with all the information.
It's true. Without him, Jake would not have
Jake
succeeded.
might be
and I felt like that was his part. That was not the whole, but that pretty much this whole part there was him being there with Black 13.
But I also felt like along the way you meet a lot of people like that. Like, I mean, you could almost say that Blaine was part of the Ka-Tet then because he got him from one place to another. You know.
The other reason though that I can't give him full member status is because in my opinion, if he was full member, when he died, the Ka-Tet would have broke.
Right.
But
we're not sure if the Ka-Tet's going to break without Eddie there yet either, are we?
Yeah,
I mean, positive of
Roland
that?
said it's done. The Ka-Tet, they all feel it. The Ka-Tet is done.
Okay.
And Susanna at the end, before the burial, says like it's never going to be. We're going to your tower, but it's never going to be.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was just him, if that was just King kind of setting up this idea of like, wow, now shit's really stacked against us, but they're going to overcome it and keep the Ka-Tet together. Like, I wasn't sure if it was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, what they indicated in this, at least in both Roland's mind and then Susanna's words, and Jake's mind, is that the Ka-Tet's broke. And that they're still going to the tower, but it's kind of like, it's not the same. They're not all one mind.
It's just a group of people all with the same goal.
Yeah. They're not all one mind anymore, you know. They're not, they don't have these, like...
intuition.
Yeah.
Like a psychic connection.
It just makes me wonder why Ka would, like, get him this far and then just be like, well, the thing that has gotten you this far is over.
I don't know.
Let's stack the deck against you now.
We have to see what Ka has in store.
Yeah, true.
So, but yeah, I'm reading this up to this part. I'm worried about Susanna. I can't remember a lot, and even forgetting Shimi, I was like, crap. I couldn't even believe it when Shimi was back. I'm like, holy crap! My Oi theory was crap, and I already knew it. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. So
yeah,
we are at the apex of the book now. So we're going to continue reading from this point on through
they literally just took a teleportation at the end of this chapter, right?
They fell in.
Shimi teleports them to where they're going. Like, shit's about to get real.
And Shimi, remember, we got to worry about him because every time he uses his teleportation, he's giving himself, like, essentially brain aneurysms.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and the other thing that Shimi did, which King at least hinted at, was that Shimi stepped on a nasty piece of glass and keeps rubbing his foot. He stepped on a piece of glass during the battle and didn't really notice it. And actually, King actually said at that scene that was going to cause problems. But what problems or how bad is this going to be? I don't know.
Dude, it would suck if like Shimi like survives everything he's been through and gets to where he is, considering where he was, and then he just dies of like foot glass infection.
I think that's what was implied, but I can't remember. I think that's what was implied. But also that seems too simple as well. So I don't know. But I am excited to read this portion, and then we get the actual end, and we have a little fun warning about this Dandalo.
Dandalo.
Good old Dandalo.
What the heck is Dandalo?
Yeah.
This is nothing that we've been introduced to yet, right? We haven't even heard
Nope.
hints of anything having to do with Dandelo, as far as I know.
Just the name.
I don't believe so.
Just the name.
Yeah, just the name.
He said, and a warning that goes with it. That's it.
Yep.
And I'm excited.
All of a sudden,
to talk
Dandelo just comes down and kills Mordred and is like, "Nope, I'm the dude."
I'm actually excited to talk about that section because there's a lot of theories that tie other books to this at that point, and that's going to be fun for me, I think.
Yeah.
So,
It'll be fun for us all.
yeah. So, anything else? Any other topics? We did a long episode, but I think that was the right choice because otherwise we would do one long one, normal, and one too short one.
Yeah, I agree.
Is there anything else we missed? Final comments? Any Brett bets?
No, the Brett bets are still in play for this book.
The Brett bets are still in play. So
Still Brett bets in play.
if we remember
mine as
carefully, I think that we many of you said Callahan
And Roland.
Callahan and Roland. Callahan.
We all agreed on Callahan and Roland not making it out of here.
I thought somebody said
then,
Susanna and Oi. Somebody said
Yes,
those two.
Me and you have a bet that Oy's not going to make it out, Jeff. You took my side on that bet.
No, I couldn't bet at all.
No, you ended up taking whatever Andrew said you said.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to join in the bet.
I see. So I do have skates in the game.
You do.
But after this chapters, I feel like everyone's gonna die.
I know,
Ben's
man.
like, shit,
I know.
Eddie died, we're all fucked.
Yeah.
At this point, I kind of almost like hope it does happen that way. Like, I don't like to think of Susanna without Eddie. I don't like to think of any of them without any of them. Like, I want the Ka-Tet
To stay
the Ka-Tet
Yeah.
in the afterlife.
Yeah.
It's almost like happier that way if they all die.
Yeah, dude. In a weird way, it is.
Hey,
I
as
feel
long as
that
you
too,
don't
man.
die in
I feel that
Keystone.
too.
It's like if Frodo would have died at the mountain. Spoiler alert. If Frodo would have died at the mountain, I would want Sam to die because there's no way he could have a happy life without him. That's not true.
I'm not going
He
back
loved
to
his
my.
wife.
I'm not going back to my garden, Mr. Baggins. Jumps into my doom.
You know, in a way that does happen, though. Spoiler alert, by the way.
What's that?
Remember, Sam's wife ends up not, after she passes away because Sam had
Sam
the
was a
ring for a
temporary
little bit
ring
of
bearer.
time. He takes a boat over to the elf world because he's like,
This
well,
episode's gonna have a long title. We discussed the ending. We discussed the first part of the last book of the Dark Tower, including some of Lord of the Rings.
And the Samarillion. Let's throw in the Samarillion as well.
we might need to just blank out what we say. It'll be like, oh, it's kind of like when
We're definitely
boop,
gonna
was
have
that
to
the
blank
boop?
out what Andrews or what Ben said earlier. What Ben said earlier.
It was my fault.
Yes.
Cool, man. Well, let's end this so I can start reading because I want to know what happens.
All right. With that, I think we're done. Again, this is your
Glass
host.
Cheers. Let's do it.
Indeed.
Yeah. One more cheers to our fallen comrades. L Flag Mandragoran. L Flag. Randall Flag. And,
Randall Flag.
Randall Flag.
The great
Eddie Dean.
from New York.
Eddie Dean.
Father Callahan.
Father Callahan.
I kind of wish Eddie Dean, right before he died, would have been like, Roland, you are my din, and protect everyone. And then he just pulls out a line and goes, and then dies.
I've been saving this.
He's so amazing. He's like, one more for the road.
Just one more for the road.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, that would be beautiful.
A lot of NPCs too. All right, folks. With that, we will see you next time for the last and final episode. Or episodes. Could take two, I don't
Last
know.
section.
On the Dark Tower. Cheers.
Cheers.
Alright, we're gonna do some of that light.
Let's do it, baby.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Lit Literature. If you liked us, please check out our social media at Lit Literature 1 at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't hesitate to join in on the conversation. We appreciate the conversation, the questions, book recommendations, anything of that sort. Join in right on the social media websites. And don't forget to check us out at our website, litliterature.com, and our upcoming projects, though there aren't many now besides Lit Literature, you can find at lyket.net, Lyket. We do have a Patreon account, but if you truly want to support us, please like and share. Cheers.